And okay, so Austin, we've got Iida coming in here. It looks like it's off the order symbol. The first question that I have is this an IRL deck? Is this a deck with? You said you've got your cards laid out, but I want to know how much I can mess around with the numbers and whatnot. It is an IRL deck.
Well, yeah, I do have all the cards here.
Okay.
IRL.
So, you go ahead and give me the elevator pitch for your super cool Iida deck. What's like your favorite card? What's the win condition? Tell me a little bit about your thought process when it comes to Iida.
Well, usually, when I'm playing the deck, my main, the main cards that I really want to draw most of the time are, like, Heroic Lineage and a Natural Leader, as foundations. And then, I like to just have a lot of Iida's attacks, because I can just get a ton of speed, and then, since I have the Reciprocal Acceleration kick, then I can just have, like, a ton of attacks, and then boom, I can use them all as EX modifiers.
Yeah, this one gets real fast, for sure. This one gets real fast.
Yeah.
So the very first thing that I see here is we have 32 attacks and 39 foundations. You're a little attack heavy. You got 71 cards in your deck. Speak to that.
Yeah. What?
Are we just are you finding it hard to like figure out what to cut or whatnot, or? Because normally
this is Austin's very first deck he's ever built, so he just doesn't have a lot of experience. Yeah.
I love that. So let's talk basic numbers, okay? Normally inside of a deck, you want your attack to foundation ratio to be just under a third, right? If we play a 60 card deck, which we're about 10 cards over, we normally want the attack lineup to be about 19, 20 attack cards in our 60 card deck. We can go a little more, like sometimes I'll play like a 66 card deck and I'll still keep that 19 number, because it is really important to have a solid foundation build as we're going into these big long attack strings. As you already said, one of your favorite cards is Reciprocal Acceleration Kick. If you check rolling threes whenever you're trying to set up this Reciprocal Extend, you're not going to be able to play your super cool move late in your chain, late as like your fourth attack, if you check 3 after 3 after 3. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so
that makes sense.
My question here is we have the best attack in your deck is obviously Reciprocal Burst, and I love the fact that it's a 4-up. That's really good. Extend being up there as well. Love Engine Rush, but I'm seeing a couple of these cards that aren't in your normal deck. Things like Sudden Tape Shot and Indiscriminate Shock. What are your thoughts? What do you think the strengths of these cards are?
Well, Indiscriminate Shock, I felt like I could get enough speed, but I just couldn't, like, get enough damage.
Okay.
So I thought if I could use Indiscriminate Shock to get a ton of, damage from Committed Rifle Foundations after I played previous attacks with high speed, then I could get a good amount of damage. And Sudden Tape Shot, I like the fact that you can, like, choose between +2 speed or damage, like, depending on, like, if I already have, like, a good setup for speed or damage, I can go for which one I need more at the moment.
I love that. Let's talk about Electric Surge. What are you thinking here?
Yeah. It's mostly for momentum, since you can add it face up and get another momentum in from my deck, so that I can play faster attacks later on.
And then my last big question, all for one full cowling 5% strike.
I'm not really sure. I drawed it, and I was like, "Hey, this is super cool," and I only have one deck. I'm just gonna add it.
Hey, that's a fair answer. I love that. Okay, so all in all, Austin, I love your thoughts, man. I think they're really, really creative. I think that the biggest issue that you have with this deck is it's actually trying to go in like two separate directions, right? You've got and the two separate directions that I'll speak of are like on one side you've got like your normal kick package, right? The thing that like you use your acceleration kick and you like string out thrusters and engines and recipros and you like play your classic Iida deck. And then on the other side,
Right.
you've got quote unquote good stuff, right? I love Indiscriminate Shock in this deck, dude. I can't believe I've never thought about this card. This being a 6 low for 100 damage because of all their committed cards is really, really intelligent, man. This is a really, really cool find. I love the thought process on sudden tape shot, but here's where I get to start making cuts. I don't think tape shot's good enough to play in either of the two builds. I think if you like this, card, I think you're just gonna find more value out of shocks. I think shock does this card's job better than this card does.
Yeah, the main problem is since I mainly use this deck for in-game, in-store tournaments, I just don't have any other copies of Shock.
Okay, that's totally
I just
fine.
have the one.
So here's what we'll do. We'll toss the extra 3 shocks into your sideboard, right? And we'll leave the sudden tape shots for now, right? And we'll know that we want to replace the sudden tape shots with the shocks. Grasping Toss, I love. It is guaranteed momentum, but realize this guy's really, really slow. So I don't know if we necessarily need it to be at a 4 of. I think we might drop it down to a 2 of just to get our attack count low. Okay?
Okay.
Setup Strike, I think this card's really, really cool. It's one of the biggest things that Order Iida has going for him, because it's essentially like just a second copy of your character's ability, right? Your response once per turn plus 3 speed. This is just another case of it on your next
Right.
move. Yeah, another really good call. So I'm going to leave it in here for now. I like Electric Surge. I think Surge is cool. We're going to put it in at a 1 of. This is not a card that we want to see a ton of in our hand. It's like a neat piece to find. If we happen to get it, it's fine, but it's not like a linchpin of our deck. We'd rather draw one of these other high impact cards like Extend or Burst, you know?
Right. That makes sense.
I am down to keep the 5% Cowling because it's just a cool card, dude. I'm down to keep it. But if we want to talk about being optimal, this is probably one that we would cut as well. So I'm gonna look at it, and we're down to 27 attacks. We gotta get this number just a little bit lower. Okay. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I think in order to get this number a little bit lower, we're gonna take Engine Rush, and we're gonna bring it down to either a 2 or a 3 of. We'll put it for 3 for now, and we're gonna bring our Sudden Tape Shot down to a 2 of, and we're gonna bring this down to a 2 of. Oh, 2 of in our sideboard as well. This is just exclusively to get our number down. I'm trying to get this down to 22 attacks. That's our best goal. Is 22 here?
10.
Yes.
Okay.
It sounded like maybe earlier you said to just cut the sudden tape shot entirely. Would that be better?
The sudden tape shot? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can find that because we've got a low block on Indiscriminate, we've got a low block on Engine Rush, we got a low block on 5%. So yeah, I think cutting tape shot would not be terrible. Yeah, let's get rid of it. Good suggestion.
Okay.
Down to 24. Okay. Oh, hold up. You didn't actually cut. Please cut. Oh, what did I miss? This actually stayed at the 1 of? All right, 23. Okay, from here, in order to cut these attacks just by 1 more, we're going to look at our block zones. Our highs, we can't mess with. Our lows, we get to maybe cut some. But we got a ton of mids. We got a ton of mid blocks here. Recipro Extend, pound for pound, is probably your best attack. I think this card is insane in this character because it, like Setup Strike, is kind of like an extra use of your ability, right? You can give your next move +2/+2. It can get the +3 and feel really good about it. I don't love Flying Thruster Kick in Iida. To the point where if we just cut this card altogether, I probably wouldn't lose any sleep over it. If we're going to keep it a buck.
Yeah.
I think if we actually cut this card down to like 1 or 0 and keep the 1 in because it's like okay deadlock pressure, what would that do to our numbers? That would put us to exactly 20, right? Ooh, that's a good looking number. Go back to our block zones. Yeah, I think... Man, I like this a lot. I like this a lot, and we'll even cut the indiscriminates back out of our sideboard. I actually really, really like... My favorite part about this deck is actually Indiscriminate Shock. I think Indiscriminate Shock is such a cool find because of making this thing fast for 1,000,000 damage. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
As we're looking... All right, so my favorite part about this deck is there's a lot of options, right? I'm a big fan, as we look at a quantity, of all these super cool one-ofs. And all of these one-ofs feel pretty okay to like toss our once per turn on. I think the weakest card in our deck is probably All for One Full Cowling Strike. It kind of feels like a cool card for being a cool card's sake. I'm not sure it necessarily goes with like the rest of our boards, right? If we had to cut
Austin
this
already
card,
pulled it out of his deck, so you're okay to cut it.
Oh, we're done with Full Cowling? It's over. It's gone.
Yeah, you're good. He already pulled it out.
Okay, then from here, my suggestion would be probably to find a second Recipro Acceleration Kick. It's a promo. It's a tournament pack promo, so it's gonna be a little tough to find. But as soon as you find a second one, I would definitely put a second one in.
Luckily, luckily the 6 cards from the Rochester tournament are coming in soon. So
yo, that's exciting.
6 packs.
That's exciting. Okay, so yeah, I would suggest grabbing a second one of these. I think that this is where we would be for our block zone wise. We've got 6 highs. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this only 4 lows now? I lied. We're going to put this rush back up to 4. I feel like we got to have the low blocks. That's how I feel about it. 21 attacks. This is a fine number. Okay, let's move on to our... I'm going to pull up a second tab here. Let's go ahead and move on to our actions and assets. We've got Go Beyond and Plus Ultra as our only options. Do you happen to have a Plus Ultra?
No.
No? Okay. Plus Ultra is incredibly powerful in Iida. It's really, really solid.
Yeah.
Because of being able to stack a bunch of really cool stats, really cool damage. And it makes our Recipro Burst hit incredibly hard. And it also stops my opponent's Recipro Bursts from killing us. Right? This is one of the ways that we get to like fight the mirror match without blowing our once per turn on their once per turn, right? Really, really cool card.
Right.
I would suggest probably a 2 of if we can find it, but if not, that's okay too. I actually have to make this my current deck. Okay, we're good now. All right. So now I'm gonna go ahead and toss those into our main board just so we can look at it and it look nice. Go back, order, asset action, Plus Ultra, put it in the main board, and then we will move on to Foundations. Okay, so you said that you really like the cards Heroic Lineage. You said you really like the cards Natural Leader.
Yeah.
What do you think is the worst Foundation in your setup?
Probably Shock Treatment or a couple of the Sero cards.
Okay.
Definitely.
Like Think Fast?
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that. committing one card to change your zone and a couple stats might not be what we're looking for here. How have you enjoyed planning ahead? This is a really hard card to play.
I feel like it doesn't really. I don't know. I just don't feel like I draw it enough to be able to actually give my full honest opinion on it.
Okay.
Just because I only have one.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Bonds of Friendship. How do you feel about that card?
Not great. I mean, it could probably be a good sideboard, depending on what deck I'm going up against. But having it just kind of be there, if it's my first hand and I'm trying to play as many foundations and I draw that, it's kind of an ugh.
That's fair. That is fair. And then lastly, how do you feel about classmate introductions?
It's not the best. It's kind of a nice extra boost. But other than that, it's not really too helpful most of the time.
Okay, I'm gonna go look at some foundations. Can you still see my screen? Can you still see this one?
Yeah.
I'm gonna toss some stuff in our sideboard and we can talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Requesting assistance. So this card is absolutely amazing in our deck because we're trying to go a little bit wider than normal because of wanting to pop off with Reciprocal Acceleration Kick. And so anytime that we check one of our super rad 3 checks, we can commit foundations, but they're not committed because of our essentially once per game re-ready of that card. Right? And so I think requesting assistance is really, really good, especially if you're not enjoying things like Think Fast. It still covers that same block zone, not quite as well, and it's a lower difficulty, so we get to play out more cards later on in the turn. And it does this essentially the same job as Gotcha on a different block zone, because Gotcha says -1 speed, and this says if I get stunned or committed, then I can just re-ready it back up with requesting, as long as I have a momentum, which I probably do because I'm Iida, you know? Giving a thing +3 speed is really, really good. Shock treatment. Shock treatment as a 1-of in your main board is really, really good. I really suggest you making it a second one in the sideboard. How much Kirishima do you fight?
Kirishima is the main killer at our local. He's the deck to beat.
He's the deck to beat. He's the deck to beat everywhere. Shock treatment is one of the only answers that you have to his absolute best foundation, which is coordinated effort. And so I think we have to mainboard 1, even mainboard a second, inside a third. It does have that nasty unique keyword, so we only get to have 1 of it on our board at a time. But it is so impactful at letting you defend against Kirishima's onslaught that we have to play this card. It's mandatory. It's a staple inside of these symbols. I highly suggest you picking up 4 as soon as you can, just so you can spread them across your decks. Short Circuit. I noticed you're not playing Short Circuit. How do you feel about this card?
I don't know. I don't think I have really used it in any of my decks, so.
Okay, that's totally fair. I think this card is really, really good at keeping you alive one time. It's like an emergency parachute, right? If you're really, really good at blocking and defending yourself using Iida's response and having really tight blocks, short circuit's not needed. But if you feel like you are getting beat out by that one extra big move, I'd maybe think about putting short circuit in your sideboard, not necessarily your main board. What's Their Plan is really, really good against momentum-based decks like Ochako and Denki, and honestly Iida himself. I suggest putting this card in your sideboard as well. Bonds of Friendship. I want to bring this card up because This card's amazing inside of your deck. It's so good, and let me tell you why. The enhance on this card is only really good versus some decks, right? And some people play Fury packages as like their main thing, like a Shigaraki, right? But then sometimes you fight like an accidental Chaco, or you fight you fight somebody and they've spiced in a Bakugo card, or a fighting against Nomu, right? -3 damage isn't a ton versus Nomu, but it's something. The real power of this card is honestly the 3 other numbers on it. The 1 difficulty, the 6 check, the 1 high block, to the point where you could see this being like a 3 or a 4 of in your deck. Really, because if you look at the difficulty of our attacks, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. If we want to play another one of these if we want to play a 5 diff into a 5 diff, if our likelihood of checking a 6 on our symbol is only 1 out of the 60 cards that we're playing, it's really, really low. So that means if I go Recipro Burst into Engine Rush, I guarantee have to commit at least 1 foundation. And that's if I check well. Sometimes accidentally checking this 6 and that helping you do your math is really, really good. If we could find room for this to be like a 3 or a 4 of, it would be really good. And my first contender to cut is probably planning ahead. Probably cutting this guy out of our deck is probably where we want to be, so that we can play this as a more utility card. Because the way that our deck works is, as opposed to playing this really tight defense game with like minus damage in this mind game, we have the minus speed. Just block it, man. Block it, and then set yourself up to fire one of these these awesome moves afterwards. So I'm gonna cut the planning ahead altogether. Passing the torch. How many of these you got?
None.
None? 0? Zilch?
He's asking in what?
Oh, well, I might. I don't know.
Better question.
He thought you were asking how many he had in his deck.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Better question. How many of the rival decks have you picked up? Have you picked up 1 or 2?
Our household probably has like 5 or 6.
You're kidding me. 5 or 6 of the rival decks?
No. Well, I have been learning how to play, and I've got 2 kids who all want full sets of the cards, so we have a lot of cards.
Unbelievable. Hey, Mom of the Year. Straight up. This card is a mandatory 3 of in every symbol that can play it, actually. This card is fantastic at fixing our bad hands. We draw a hand with only 1 move, and we gotta kill him this turn. We gotta make the KO happen. This card can accidentally get us there.
Right.
And so I think we have to play this at a 3F, and I'm just gonna toss it in. As well as, it combos exceptionally well with requesting assistance, which we're also going to be tossing in at a 3 of. Okay. Creepy realization. Your deck does not have an issue with speed. What your deck has an issue is with damage. And this card, pound for pound, is going to be a better exchange rate than the planning ahead that we've already cut. I think this card's a cool, like, maybe 2 of in between either main or side. Your choice. We're going to put it in the sideboard for now. And then lastly, Sticky Balls. This card will win you some games exclusively because some decks can't deal with flip at the top card of your rival's discard pile to their card pool. Did you watch any of the event from yesterday? Did you get a chance to catch the stream?
No.
Okay, that's the problem. Chris Bromley from over at Unfun Stuff plays Todoroki, and he plays this card at a 4 of because of how absolutely powerful this card is. I don't know if you own any of the Sticky Balls, but I would suggest totally putting it at least a 1 of. And Enhanced Commit -4 speed is not a bad exchange rate either. It is really, really good. So from here, without looking, we're back up to 70, and I think our goal is to get to like 66 cards with our deck. 66 cards with 21 attacks feels pretty good. So let's start cutting some stuff.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to take, and we're going to leave Natural Leader. Actually, I'm going to look at our block zones real fast. We got highs, lows, mids. Mids looks like our most, and that's totally where we should be. We're going to take Think Fast. We're going to drop it down to a 1 of. You said you didn't love it, but I still think this card has a lot of value whenever my opponent absolutely positively knows that the low block is coming. And they're holding that one card in their hand because they're so afraid of that reciprocal burst, and it's going to get them. I've got this low block, and you just make it high. And you laugh at them. And you laugh in their face because they held an amazing block, and then they can't block with it anymore. Right? I think this card accidentally steals games, and it's totally fine as a 2/5 with a 1 mid block and being cool with it. Go back to our difficulty. Gotcha. Desperate Times. I think I want to cut Gotcha and Desperate Times down to a 3 of each. And the reason that I want to do that is these cards aren't high impact cards in our deck. They are more reactionary cards, right? They are not cards that I demand to see on my board every single time that I can. They are cards that I want to find. Requesting Assistance is a high impact card. We want to see this card every single game. If we can find 4 of these on turn 1, we'll be set for the rest of the match. Rest of the game. We'll feel great about it. Tape, amazing defensive piece, especially as soon as we find a couple plus ultras. Tape saying that plus ultra is just a free block whenever we want it is actually too good, especially when we fight our opponent's reciprocal bursts.
Right.
Bonds of Friendship. We already said this at a 3 of. I love self-sacrifice to the point of I want to put it up to a 3 of, but I think it being at a 2 of is totally respectable. Calling for backup in Iida is incredible. It's so good. Shock treatment of the 1 of is great. Think Fast is great. Passing the torch is great. Classmate introductions. How you feel about this card? I think we talked about it already, right?
Yeah, we did.
This card is...
It's just kind of like a nice... Yeah.
Unfun stuff's in my chat right now. Ask Bromley how he feels about that card. I used to run this card in a lot of my decks. Like almost all of them that could. At a 3 or a 4 of. And after talking with Chris, he's like, this card's not very good. It's very much a win more card. It's not a very high impact card, and it kind of does what your character already does. And we have other pieces on our attack lineup that kind of just does this card's job but better. We have added a bunch more mid blocks, and we kind of have too many cards in our deck as is, right? We're still at 68. So I think we're going to cut this card down to, at maximum, a 2 of. If you absolutely love this card, we can keep it in at 2 of. Otherwise, I just don't think you need this one at all, dude. I'm not sure that we need it. This would cut us down to, what, 64 cards? Is this looking pretty good? And then from there, I like this deck a lot, man. I think that this is a pretty decent spot to find ourselves. Actually, we're going to increase it by 1 card. You ready? We're going to bump that self-sacrifice back up to a 3 of. Because I want to be able to get ourselves out of deadlock.
Okay.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on what we did? Is there anything that you 100% disagree with? You hate my call? Because at the end of the day, man, this is your deck, and I want to make your deck the way you want to make it. I'm just here to give suggestions.
I don't know. I mean, I'm still, like, pretty new at this, so, like, just getting suggestions from somebody who really knows what they're doing is really helpful.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So here's what I want. Here's your homework. For next month, whenever we do our deck doctor, if you decide to come back to Iida, I need some stats. I need you to tell me what worked and what didn't. I need you to tell me what was your favorite card. What card did you love drawing? What card was your least favorite card? Every time you saw this card, you were like, I wish this could be anything else. That's the kind of info that I need so I can help out for phase 2 of the deck, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're incredibly welcome, Austin, and thank you for supporting out on Patreon. This was an absolute blast.
Thanks, Tam.
Man.
We really appreciate your help.
You are incredibly welcome.
Yeah.
We'll catch you guys next month, okay? And I promise I'll be a little more timely with trying to get my responses. Now that we're Discord friends, it'll be way easier. I promise.
Yeah.
Fine. We appreciate it.
All right. I'm gonna let you guys go. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your night and have a good one.